Hello, and welcome to the 117th edition of Beer Issues. My name is Matt Bruckert, and I'm coming to you live today from Casa de Bruckert, where we're going to be sampling one of the many great German beers today from Hofbräu. We're having the Hofbräu Dunkel. So this is going to be a Lager Munich Dunkel. And you might say, well, what exactly is a Lager Dunkel? Because you've probably heard, because we've had on the show before, we've had Dunkel Weiss, we've had, other Dunkels, but what is a Dunkel Lager? Well, Dunkel just means dark. So when a Dunkel Weissen, it means a dark wheat, as to where a Dunkel Lager is a dark lager. So let's go ahead and pour it and get started. Now this beer, it rates, I was really surprised because I've had this many times before, and it only rates an 85 out of 100. I remember the last time I saw the rating, I was like, that doesn't make sense because this is a very delicious beer. But, everybody has their own taste and everything like that. I'm going to re-rate it with the Matt Bruckert official rating after we're done sampling this, okay? Because I think 85 is a little bit too low. I think it deserves a higher rating. Now, the beer does clock in at a 5.5% alcohol by volume, which is right in the perfect range for a Dunkel. So let's talk about it. You see, you're getting the brownish, reddish color. So the darker color, not like a typical lager. A beautiful head. Look at that. It's just perfection. It's just sitting there just happy as could be. So I can't wait to just get my mouth into that and start drinking it. And then when you smell it, typically you're going to smell like the malts, maybe like a caramel. Sometimes they'll even have like a chocolatey or like a dark fruit type smell. But let's go ahead and check this one out. So, the funny thing that I smell in this is it's kind of weird. I do smell the malts, but it almost has like a fresh bread smell to it. You know how like when a bread's baking and it smells like so nice and yummy? This has like a bread, like in preparation kind of smell to it. Very nice and unique. So typically a beer like this, a Dunkel Lager, is going to be hop forward. And what that means is when you first take a sip of the beer, it'll typically have a kind of a hoppy, in the beginning, but then it quickly goes to the malty, the sweet of the malt. So I'm going to go ahead and see if this is spot on like I think it is with a typical Dunkel. Exactly spot on what I expected. You get the hops right off the bat, but bam, it goes like that. I mean, it's so fast. If you're somebody who doesn't like hops, you might not even realize it's happening, where you're getting those hops in the beginning and then boom, right to the malty. Because a lot of people that don't like hops, it's the lingering aftertaste of the hops or the bitterness that you get from the hops. When you have it where it's balanced with the malts, you get the boom of that hops up front and that initial taste, but it so quickly goes to a malty sweetness that you don't realize the amount of hops. So this beer, to me, I think it's great. And they use a special brewing technique I was reading about. It's called decoction mashing, which is where they boil a certain amount of the grains, and after they boil it, they put it back into the mash, which is a unique technique that they use specifically for this. And I think that's how they get the dark color into the lager, by using by boiling that, breaking down the cells of the malts, and I think that's what causes the darkness. I'm not a professional brewer, never claimed to be, but I like to read about the brewing process and different types of beers, and I think that's how they get the darker color in this, by doing the boiling of part of the stuff into the mash. So, wow, this is fantastic. And I've had this many times. As a matter of fact, I'm really sad this year that a lot of places aren't going to be doing their Oktoberfest. So I'm going to drink a lot of German beers over the next month just in celebration of Oktoberfest, because here in the local area, I know that I think from what I heard, the Castleberry one was shut down. The one at Hollerbach's was shut down, or maybe some kind of limited thing that they might have for a small group, which is a big one. So the Castleberry, and the one in Oviedo, I don't think that's going to happen either. So I'm really sad and depressed. Now this is one that they typically would always serve at the one in Castleberry at the German American Society when they have their Oktoberfest festival. So I have drank pitcher after pitcher after pitcher of this beer, and trust me, I am truly enjoying this. I'm so happy to be having it, and I'm really, really sad that I'm not going to get to go and wear my lederhosen this year. So maybe what I'll do is in a few days, maybe I'll do an episode and I'll put my lederhosen back on, and we'll do up a Oktoberfest one, because really, you know, we're starting Oktoberfest season right now. You know, people think of Oktoberfest being in October. Really, most of Oktoberfest happens in September in Munich. So, you know, it's kind of wound down by the December or October. So I am enjoying this beer. I love this beer. For years, German beers was my favorite. I'm part German, so my heritage is German from the Black Forest in Germany. But I've really found that I love German beers. I can drink them all day long. They're fantastic. But Belgian beers have kind of won me over. Okay, but you can't go wrong with a great German beer, and this is a great German beer. And as a matter of fact, I've got 5 or 6 more great German beers that we're going to be having over the next few episodes. So be prepared. We're going to drink some good German beer, and I got a lot of Belgian beers that we're going to be drinking too. So don't get me wrong, we're going to have both. So if you enjoyed this and learned a little bit about, you know, what a Dunkel is, the difference between a Dunkel and a Dunkelweizen, they're both just dark wheat or dark lagers. So it really depends. Dunkel just means dark, okay? So make sure you tell your friends about Beer Issues. Make sure they tell their friends about Beer Issues, and make sure that everybody knows about Beer Issues, because we're having fun drinking beer. And if you want cool Beer Issues merchandise, like this cool hat, make sure you go to shop.beerissues.com. And as my wife likes to say, I have beer issues.